Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on today's edition of the show. So I'm Daisy Leo-Atsikidi, your host, and I have a counselor with me in the studio, and we're going to be addressing some trending family issues and how we can cope with them, especially in this recent time where there's just so much issues. Like, you're on the news, you're reading the papers, and you're hearing one story or the other, and somehow it affects the family. Without the family unit being built well, the entire society is in crisis. So I have Mr. Kingsley Ikeke here with me in the studio. It's been a long time we had him on television, and I am so delighted we were able to pull him down here today. Thank you so much, sir. Welcome.
You're welcome.
Okay, so there's just a lot of family issues at the moment, and the top on the list seems to be this issue of financial strain. There's so much hunger in the land, and it became worse since the floating of the naira and the subsidy removal. So while we are talking about salaries not increasing, transportation has increased, nobody is looking at it to the smallest unit, pinning it down. People will still go to school, children will still go to school, they'll still wear clothes, they'll still feed, and somehow you need to look for a way to meet the needs of your kids, your spouses, without compromising their well-being. So how can we deal with this financial strain so that the families are not breaking out and we're not hearing divorce cases because of money issues at this time?
Thank you very much. You know, if you are going to look at the impact of the current financial issue on the family, you must have certain things in mind. One, two basic things you must look at: your expenditure, your income. You're going to look at cutting down your expenditure and raising your income.
Okay.
Now, expenditure, there are actually three basic parts of the expenditure that are difficult to manage. These are regular clothing, shelter, and feeding. So the three basic things that you need. The other thing that comes along that you've been doing previously that you can do without. But these three basic things are difficult to do without them. You need them for your daily life or daily upkeep. But be that as it may, even that of the feeding and the shelter, there are ways you can manage it. For me, for instance, for feeding, there are foodstuffs that have similar benefits when you classify them under food values or food classifications. So if I find out going for a gari will be too expensive for me, I can take an alternative of a plantain, yam. They belong to the same category. Now you look at the cost effectiveness of staying with either of these options, or rice as the case may be, so as to cut down your cost of feeding. Same thing with other classes, even that of the protein. You look at varieties. Because one thing I know we are blessed with in this nation is that we have food. Unfortunately, the cost is quite on the high.
Yeah.
But how do you now cope? Start looking for alternative. Going to buy meat and fish in the market now is difficult. But instead of going for that, you can go for eggs. I know it's expensive, but relatively it's cheaper. It crate should be about 3,000, 6,000 or 4,000 thereabouts.
It's obvious you're a man and you've not gone to the market in a while.
I go.
A crate of egg right now, it's about 4,500.
Okay, maybe.
It's about, because even when you're buying it at home, you have the one of 150, then the bigger ones, they'll sell it for like 180. That's how crazy it's gotten for eggs now.
But you know that egg is one of the richest source of protein.
Very true.
And if you can't afford to get those fish or meat you're used to, alternatively you can go for eggs. I still think relatively it's
still cheaper because you get 30 for about 4.5. But you will not get 30 pieces of meat for 4.5.
Almost impossible.
It's impossible. Okay, that's cool.
So we could cut on our expenditure, and there are many ways to do that. I've talked about food a little bit. On shelter, look for affordable accommodation. Most of the times we give ourselves too much pressure. Under the setting we find ourselves, there are things that we can do about the government's policy, but we can help ourselves. Go for accommodation that you can afford. Get schools around your place of abode. You have no business having to do school runs every other day. It's quite expensive. Checking the cost of transportation. Get a good school around your vicinity. Get tutors. If you check comparatively, you find that it's cheaper. Look for one of the good schools around. If you get your kids there, they can easily walk to school and walk back. In our days, we're walking to school, although things were far better then. That will cut down the cost of having to pay for very expensive flats. An average flat now goes from 350 to 500, 600,000 per annum. And when you look at the average salary of most workers in those states who are mainly civil servants, how many of them can afford $500,000 per annum for rent? So look for affordable accommodation. Look for schools around your vicinity. That should help you cut costs when it comes to shelter. Because if you don't begin to look inward, we'll have problems. Another thing I think we can also do is that something I'm doing in church, I'm looking at some of my members, I'm going to the houses to see spaces available. Because when we were younger, we used to have what we call gardens, where you plant little things like pumpkin, vegetables, whatever. You can get them fresh. It's safer and better to have things like that than go to the market. If you have that in your house, you know you are sure of the vegetables for your minerals and your vitamins, without having to go to the market, go and purchase them. You can make leafy vegetable soup and you are home and dry. So I think we should begin to think farming, think inward, begin to think outside the box. Outside trying to deal with expenditure, you must raise your income. If you have two, you must add one more. If you have a space in your compound, do you know that we can now grow yam even within a concrete floor in your compound? You can grow yam in bags. You get the soils in the bag, put the yam there. It doesn't disturb you. The rains are there. We have very good weather. The sun is there. And before you know it, in 8 to 10 months, you're harvesting. And the yams you get from there, depending on the space you have, you can take it for the entire year. It's that simple. A 100 by 100 can give about 4,000 seedling planted within the 100 space, if you have that kind of space in your compound. So I think we have been, carried away by this previous lifestyle we had, oil money coming, people sharing subvention and stuff like that. If we go back to some of our old lifestyle, we can beat this current situation and be able to survive, because the idea now is self-preservation or survival of the fittest. That's where we are now. So you must think deep to get out of this mess.
I'm really seeing a picture here. We've all left farming. I remember when I was growing up as a child, and my parents always used to go to the farm. My dad had lands, like they were so huge. And so he would go to the farm with my mom, and they would take workers, they pay them, they go work, and then they bring food down. But when I was in secondary school, I can't cut grass. For someone whose parents were farming that much, it was amazing that I couldn't cut grass. I went to a boarding school, they tried to teach us, it wasn't working. That even till date, I have to weed with my hands. Because if I'm cutting, it's like I'm digging. I won't just, stop digging the holes, stop digging holes in my compound, But we all need to get to that point where we're teaching our kids basic things like that now. And that's a very good one. I think I want to learn how to rear snails. Yeah. I would learn that. Yeah,
and you can do that within the confines of your house.
Yes.
I did
even in a rented apartment.
Yeah. Yes. They are scavengers, and they can survive without you spending so much money for feeding. They live more on your waste. I did a workshop in my place of work on that, snailing, as how to raise snail within your confinement. And there are different ways you can make their houses. You can have a space this big. If you are able to maximize it, you can have more than 4,000 snails within this confinement. And one giant snail can go for over 500 at that time. I don't know the cost now. 500 to 1,000 plus.
Expensive.
So that's
but I wouldn't even raise it to sell. I like the money. I like money, but I will raise it
and it's
to
good
eat,
protein.
Because that's good protein.
Good protein.
Expensive protein.
Low in cholesterol.
Go to a fast food now, you want to buy one piece of snail, it's 5,000 naira. That's expensive. Okay, now there's also another issue that has been plaguing families in recent time, and that's the case of paternity fraud. In fact, this is a topic that another time we're going to treat as a full-day topic. There's this popular tennis player over the
I saw that on the news.
That news, that's the wrong.
Painful.
Yes, Gen Z will call it casted. Last week it was everywhere, where he found out that his last 2 kids weren't his. He's raised this children for like 10 years now, and is emotionally invested in these children. Almost all his games he goes to play, the entire family is there, the children are there, the wife is there, cheering him up, celebrating him. And then after some years, you find out that, no, these children aren't mine. And that's just one case of many. I'll share a story that happened the year 2007 in Osun State. The guy, the Yoruba man, I'm just going to withhold the names, but the story was really popular then. And he came on, okay, the wife, he found the wife had an affair, found out. And so he wasn't poor, and he couldn't understand why she was going outside their matrimonial home. And someone suggested that he should go do a test for his 4 children. He didn't really believe anything was going to come out of it, but he decided, without her permission, he ran a DNA test on all 4 kids and found out that none was his. Okay. Now, these children were quite grown. He had one of, I think, about 16 years old, another of 13. They were well spaced, but he had a 16-year, like, for 16 years, he's been raising people's children. And then he was devastated. He approached the wife. She denied everything. He decided to come on air. So he was on a radio station in that state and called her out. So they had to invite her. She came and said, well, the truth is, the samples the husband took for those tests weren't, she wasn't aware. So it was faked. And then they were going back and forth. So they said we'll take her to court. And the court was going to order a new check. And if she's found guilty, they threatened her, and then she finally confessed. So I think the first 2 children were for a pastor. Then the middle child was for, I think, their security man. Like, she had all 4 children for 3 different men. And then she gets pregnant, she brings the child home, her husband takes care of them, and he never knew. So that's one case. And there are several other cases of they're trying to jackpot. When they get to the embassy, they find out that these children aren't, and it's just insane. So, well, how did we get here? According to a research I saw online, they said Nigeria is the country with the second highest cases of paternity fraud after Jamaica. And if tests are run on all the firstborns in homes, all the firstborns in homes, 90% of them do not belong to the people they call father. Now, what do you even think about this report to start with, for a country that is very traditional and very religious?
For me, it's shocking, honestly, because I would have said for Nigeria, for the black race, the women are more faithful. But what we are hearing is, I don't know how to put it, it's rattling. It's very disturbing. You know, there are 2 ways to this. You see, the man is emotionally traumatized.
Yeah.
Then the kids, a person you've called father for over a decade or 2 decades, only to realize that he wasn't really your father. So I begin to ask myself, why? Some say it's for financial reasons, but we see certain cases that we could not trace to any financial reasons. Another thing I think also causes, things like this is, men not really measuring up in terms of being affectionate or being intimate with their spouses as regularly as they should. Because sometimes women go out for different reasons. Women are not actually wired to be unfaithful. So it's really perplexing to see women being this unfaithful. It's bad enough you have a child that is not the man's child, and you have 2, 3, 4 other children, and it's not his. And all his earnings and all his wealth are going to be bequeathed to the same persons who are not his. It's painful and it's shocking. I still can't put my hands on why the trend is becoming so alarming. Yeah. We hear them every now and then. There's one from one Ghanaian player. You could see him was practically crying on stage because he found out all the kids that were said to be his were not his. And the only reason I could picture why women do that also is that sometimes when there's a delay in conception, the accusing finger goes straight to the woman first. So sometimes the woman wants to go out to prove her her fertility, that she's fertile. You know, and at the end of the day, there's problem. But I think if we want to solve this problem, we have to start behaving like the white man. It's not as if they are perfect. If there are delays in conception, they adopt. If there are delays in conception, they do artificial insemination. But at least it's with the consent of both partners. Because we call it a fraud when one is aware, so when the woman is aware that the kids that are her kids are not the husband's children. It becomes a fraud because the man is being deceived. He's raising those kids under an atmosphere of deception. And it's very, very painful and very, very abominable under the context which we have grown up as Africans. That you raise 4 kids, none. If you have been okay, say 2 or 3 of them are yours, but maybe at the time she strayed away because you're having issues at home. But to hear that virtually all the kids, like the one you just mentioned, one belongs to security man, what an insult. The other 2 belongs to the pastor, who should be morally upright.
Yes.
It's an embarrassment. You know, before you are going on the way and you say, maybe you are stopped by any checkpoint, I'm a pastor, and they say, well, bless you, sir. But now you are say, calm down. Because there's so much fraud. The title they carry is not what they portray. The container and the content are different. You carry the container of a pastor, but the content is terrible. And you're presenting yourself as a man of God. The only thing I see, you know, the one thing I see that we need to deal with this issue of fraud is not a criminal offense, to be fair. There's no law that indicts the woman for whatever she has done. But I think we should enact a law. We should enact a law because the emotional trauma is like when somebody says his name had been rubbished and he now sues you for defamation of character. This is exactly the same way this should go. Because I can't raise a child for more than 10 years only to discover that it's not mine. I don't know how those children will cope trying to find out their real father who has denied or who probably ran away, because I don't believe a father is a father because he gave birth to a child. Personally, I believe you are a father because you raised the child.
Word. That's
what makes you a father. That's why when you adopt a child, you have a responsibility to his feeding, to his schooling, to his upkeep. So that makes you his father. Not because you impregnate. No. That is not the title. Father is not the title. Father is responsibility. If you are a father, it means there's a demand on you to provide. Even scripturally speaking, it says a man who cannot cater for his children or for his home is worse than an infidel. So if you're a father, the title is not the title, it's what you do that makes you a father. For me, if I find such thing, there was a case I heard of, the children just called the mom. We don't want to know who impregnated you, we don't want to know how the affair you went through. Because they were already grown, they were not even in the country. As long as you keep that man hidden for life, you will forgive your trespass. And the matter was closed in that chapter. The man had kept, there's no way he can start producing now. He has stopped childbearing, but only to find out those kids he raised were not his. But they were able to resolve their issues. He took them as his children, forgave the wife. It's difficult though.
Wow.
And lived his life.
That's a sense. That's a sense. Because, you know, most times when we even look at these cases, we hardly even consider the children. We are always quick to think about the man. The trauma is going to go through. Will he ever be normal again? Can he trust again? But we don't know. We hardly even think about the children because they go through a whole lot worse, I think.
Honestly.
And moreover, even when cases where we hear men say forgive, I think women are more even built to forgive. Your husband strays, you forgive, you deal with him a little bit, you chill, you both will still be doing uncle. But when a woman strays, the man becomes a tiger. So can this man actually ever forgive and still be able to love these children without reservation? When he enacts discipline, we did not feel it's because he's not my dad. Can everything ever be normal again?
Well, that will be difficult. It will be very difficult. But I believe that men can forgive. Like you said, it's harder for them though. But if you look at the whole thing, going to start your life from the scratch, especially if it's not just 2 or 3 years issue, it's something that has spanned, like you said, close to 2 decades.
Yes.
It's difficult to start afresh. I feel that if I'm the man I've found out, I wouldn't allow the kids to know. I hope that doesn't happen to me though. But I will not allow them to know. I will take them as I've taken them all this while. and let that same mentality remain. Because the trauma, I can't imagine the trauma for them and for me. Because we're not looking for the father. Okay, take for instance the father, whoever she had an affair with is now late. Where are they going to start tracing their roots to? So I will try and find a way to cover the mess.
Wow.
Because it's a mess. And when you bring it to the open, it's an insult to the man. It's as if the man is impotent or sterile. He can function, he can bear.
I mean, like,
so it's an embarrassment to him. You are not a man. That's the sentence.
Okay, now two suggestions people were giving to this issue to deal with it and arrest it once and for all, since it's now a very common thing in Nigeria. One person said we need to make DNA a compulsory thing in the hospitals. So just the way you give birth to the child, they put the wristband with the Atsikidi. As you're doing immunization, they're taking samples for DNA, maybe for subsidized amount because it's quite expensive, or add it to the insurance scheme. Another person said it's not even about subsidizing. If it is found out, the woman should go to jail for fraud.
Obviously.
So which of these two do you think we need, or do we need
I think the first one is okay. Just like we do test before getting married.
Yes.
To be okay, since it's becoming so rampant, to do tests so that the man would have saved himself so much trauma. You know, like I said, if you are already neck deep in it, it's difficult to come out. So if you know from the very onset, you can decide whether you want to forgive or you want to terminate the relationship. Even biblically speaking, once you find your wife is unfaithful, you have the right to set her aside.
Interesting. Okay, now we also have other issues that families are dealing with at this time, and so much attention aren't given to them. And the next we're going to be focusing on is sibling rivalry. Now, siblings can fight to the point that they are in court, maybe because of property, maybe not even property. Siblings fight to the point that they are attacking each other with spiritual powers. You know, we don't believe in jazz, but they do jazz, if you know what I mean. So there's just a whole lot. How do parents just sit down and allow such a thing even get to that point? We'll handle this and more in a moment. We need to go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll deal with sibling rivalries and the other family discussions we have for you. So let's quickly push play to Banana. It's a documentary on banana and the health benefits of it. We'll be back shortly.
Ripe, rich, and delicious, bananas are one of the most popular fruits that are easily available all year round. However, there are some Weight Watchers who will raise their eyebrows if they are asked to include it in their diet, because banana is rich in calories. They will soon know why this awesome fruit deserves to be loved and eaten. Bananas are exceptionally healthy as they provide numerous health benefits. It is a versatile fruit that contains many nutrients, including vitamins A, B, C, and E, along with minerals like potassium, zinc, iron, and manganese. Just as eating a banana helps in keeping your body in good health and great shape, application of this fruit on your hair and skin will help you keep them in great condition. Now, let's take a quick look at the benefits of banana. Banana gives instant surge of energy. It does this by converting the natural sugars in it into instant energy, and this is one of the reasons sportsmen consume it during intervals. Bananas can be eaten whole, as part of a salad, as a healthy beverage, or as an ingredient of a vegetable. It is a fruit made by God for one and all and for every age group to provide required energy throughout the day. Bananas does great miracles in our stomach. Banana enhances digestive ability because it is very rich in fructooligosaccharides, which acts as a friendly bacteria. It stimulates the production of enzymes that enables absorption of nutrients, thus enhancing the digestive ability. Also, certain substances in bananas stimulate the cells which make up the stomach lining. This enables production of a thicker protective mucous barrier against stomach acids, thereby combating stomach ulcers. At the same time, it relieves from constipation because the peptine found in bananas help to alleviate constipation and improves bowel functions as well as cure bile. Bananas are also a good source of potassium, calcium, and magnesium, which aid in maintaining normal blood pressure and are heart protective. The high potassium content promotes bone health, keeps the mental faculties vigilant, enhances brain power, and boosts learning abilities. Due to the high amount of potassium, it also reduces the occurrence of stroke. Bananas can also reduce the risk of various types of cancer, especially bowel cancer, because of the antioxidants and dietary fiber in it. Banana helps in regulating anemia as they contain high levels of iron, which helps regulate the hemoglobin levels in the body. The antacid substance in banana gives immense relief from heartburn as well. Beyond the health benefits, you can rub the inside of a banana peel on your leather shoes or handbags and polish with a dry cloth afterwards for a quick shine. Rub banana peel on your teeth for about 2 minutes every time you brush, and you'll be well on your way to having that pearly white teeth. It also gets rid of acne. Rub your acne with the white side of a banana peel, leave it on your face for some minutes, and then rinse. Well, are you craving the sweet stuff but don't have the time, the calories, or budgets to spare? Simply blend a well-frozen solid banana in a food processor or blender. You'll be surprised how much it tastes like soft served ice cream. You may need to add a little more cream or flour, honey, or chocolate to obtain the consistency of thick cream of yogurt. I know you'll never look at a banana the same way again after discovering the many health benefits and reasons to add them to your diet. Bananas combat depression, make you smarter, cure hangovers, relieve morning sickness, protect against kidney cancer, diabetes, osteoporosis, and blindness. They can cure the itch of a mosquito bite, fertilize your plants when they decay on the ground, and many more. So please, include a banana in your diet today for these and more. Your body is your responsibility. Please take good care of it.
All right, of course, the program is Flipside, the other side of the news, and today we're attending to trending family issues in recent times. And we've talked about paternity fraud. We've also suggested ways families can cope as regards this current economic crisis. So we're addressing these issues, and now we're going to move to sibling rivalry, because these are some of the major things that seem to be causing homes being broken, separations, divorces, and then quarrels. At the end of the day, we're raising children in these broken homes who are going to most likely end up being broken children, then broken adults that will also start their own homes, and the circle just goes on and on and on. So let's talk about sibling rivalries. Usually, I think it's normal for siblings to quarrel. I grew up in a very large family. I'm the last. Everybody was older than me, so I know they agree. I just feel everyone wants to oppress me, so we quarrel. But we had some laws in the house where you don't insult your elder one, even if it's 2 months. They used to senior you. You can't, if they say you're mad, you can't say I am not mad. My dad will tell you that's already an insult. So the highest you can do is to report that they cursed you, because cursing was not also allowed. But how do you now differentiate between just normal quarrels that can just be handled and quarrels that will end up lingering for years, that will now lead to hate, so that maybe we can start helping parents to start dealing with these issues now? Someone actually specifically asked for us to handle this, because in his family at the moment, all his siblings, all his sisters, the men are not quarreling, but all his 5 sisters do not greet each other, they don't answer each other, and their mom do not even know what to do. Mama is almost 90, They are grown. These are women with children. Some of their children are already bringing forth children as well. But they don't greet each other. They don't answer each other. They just leave, and they're all living in the same state. So at what point should parents become concerned when their kids quarrel?
Well, for me, I think there are two major aspects to child upbringing. The first one is there's this genetic makeup. I'm a believer of the fact that traits are transferred, characters are transferred from parents to offspring. Under that character concept, you have temperaments. You must understand that temperament also moves from parents to offspring. The second factor is training. You see, the kind of life or the lifestyle you're exposed to will also determine your final behavior. So you must correlate these two concepts, genetic makeup and the training. You see, as parents, you must understand your children, that they're not the same. Every child is unique. And when you treat them, you must have that at the back of your mind, that every child is unique. Like you said, there should be laws, there should be rules. No. Then you understand when you're dealing with them, you must be fair. Many parents are not fair. Even my mom at the time, I had to tell her, you're not fair. Don't treat me specially. Now your husband is no more. I'm not your husband, I'm still your son. Don't give them the impression that I am the most important. I am not. So I demystify that before my siblings. And I give them, even as the elder, I give them audience, I give them regards, I give them respect, because anybody who's above 18 is not a kid. You must respect his opinion, allow them to say their minds. Because when kids begin to observe, there is bias. Just like what happened between Esau and Jacob, the rivalry starts. If you're not very careful, those people now go under certain religious sects, maybe under certain pastors. You know, there are different kind of pastors. Those that see enemy in every corner, and those that believe there's no enemy anywhere. Then if unfortunately you are under that umbrella, where almost everybody is an enemy, you start catching witches and wizards everywhere.
Burning fire.
Whatever your sibling does, yeah, I see something. You have this one is after you. You start developing hatred. Everything they do, you suspect that they're after your life. Those 5 persons you mentioned, you'll be shocked that they are Christians, attending different churches.
Yeah.
Why one is praying for the other one to die? The other one is praying for that one to die, or whoever is in charge. You know, there's a prayer set that tells that when they want to pray, they pray. It doesn't matter who is the person. If my mother, if my father, if my brother, if my sister, die. I don't believe in that. Because no man determines a man's exit. I believe that people die when it's their appointed time. And when they breach divine order or divine rules, you can die. So it's not in your place, because if the dying thing was really the real thing, I'm sure that half of Nigerians would have been dead by now. In fact, all those leading us who have not been doing well, they would have died.
Exactly.
I'm telling you the truth. But the issue of life and death is not in the custody of man. It's in the hands of God. So when you stir up hatred, that's one thing we must guide. Those of us that teach people, either in churches, or those of us that raise them at home, we must guide against hatred. We must be able to, there was something that happened to me and my dad. You know, one day I had to tell him, I said, this temper, you think I have it? I just manage my own. You think you can just maltreat me and I'll just be like, I said, one day I'll remind you. As if you figure out after a year or two that I've had one grudge for the 3rd year, hoping and waiting till I'm matured and working, so I can tell him what he did wrong and punish him appropriately. But as God will have it, he sensed there was this distance, so he called me. He said, you know, you are my first son. I know I have treated you harshly. You know, it's because I wanted you to be a role model to your siblings. Ones. I believe if you miss it, they will miss it. You know, he sat me down, and for the first time in my life, every time I have to ask my mom, I know I look like him, but sometimes I doubt if it's my father because of the way he treated me. You know, I did a program once in church where I called the kids to sit and ask the parents to sit. They should air their views. Sometimes we discard their views or the way they see things. One complained that the father, is only when he's wrong that the entire world knows. When he does well, there's no commendation. There's one I said, the father beats him for every other person's offense. And it's not scriptural. It's the soul that sins that dies. It's the one that commits offense that should be punished. The father said, no, I said, don't train me. That's how they were training me. You don't train people like that. If this one, deal with him for his offense. Don't deal with the elder one. Were you not there when he misbehaved? He's of age. So you begin to create biases. And I felt my dad loved some of them more than me. But when he was not explaining that he's looking up to me to guide them, he talked to me like man would talk to a man, but actually father to a son. It sank. The hatred died. I knew where he was coming from. Some of us, we met punishment to our kids without, blending it with compassion or making them realize where they have erred. You know, we talk about the rod and the staff. The rod for flogging or whatever. The staff is to comfort. When you have spanked a child for an error, you should be to call the child. Please, this is the reason. I don't like this. Let it sink. Let the child not see it as an act of bullying or as an act of oppression. Because when you start creating that, you start creating impression in the hearts of the children that begins to grow. They begin to have disaffection amongst it. One start feeling, my mother loves her more than me. And that concept grows. And unfortunately for them, they now find some other certain pastors who also promote the same idea. They can never be reconciled. So you must watch what you teach them in church, what you tell them at home. Be fair in your judgment. When there are issues, allow them air their view and be objective as a judge. Never judge a matter by hearing one side. It is not wise. Let everybody say what you. Even when I was talking about children obey your parents in the Lord, well, this is right. He also said, parents, do not provoke your children to what? To what? So it's a two-way thing. That you are the dad, you are not the lion. That when my dad is coming, when he's returning from work those days, we start running. You think that the president has arrived. Before it moves from the down floor to the upstairs, everywhere is arranged. The place is cleaned. He will pull his shoe and using his leg to look for sand. Because we're looking for trouble. So don't make yourself a lion. Because you know this time that if you keep that attitude, sooner or later they will grow. God help you if they have found their way outside the country. They will call their mom for Mugo. They will not call you. Because you have not been affectionate. People they will send to you at the end of the day is one sim aromatic schnapp. Your wife is going for a Mugo. I told them in church, if my wife is going for a Mugo, I will go for Go. We must go together. You cannot leave me behind. So I try to create this bond
with your kids.
Yes, with my kids, and also try to resolve their issues fairly. So nobody seems to feel that he or she is being neglected or maltreated. I think we do that, we'll help heal. We'll help them to heal. So those five sisters, I don't know, let's go to their church. I think they will have honor for their pastors. We can start resolving their issue from there. You see Christians fighting themselves and praying against themselves. And they are calling on the same God to kill the other one. Who will God answer?
But what are some of the long-term effects of these unresolved issues that parents should be aware of so that they will quickly start dealing with this? I can't remember really having, maybe just one of my siblings, one that I had a grudge against because she was too much of a bookworm. She liked books too much. So I didn't like her. And she was very strict. She was the most spiritual girl. She liked church. You know, you're in church and maybe service pastor is preaching, then you're outside gisting with your friend. You know, there's this gist you just want to quickly gist, and she catches you when they are preaching. You're outside. In the presence of that your friend, she don't load you slap. So I really wasn't cool with her because I felt I was too big of a girl. I mean, I was a teenager. You can't be hitting me out in public. Even if you have a problem, you could tell me go back inside the church. So when she gives birth, I'm going to be beating her children. And you know, it was so shocking. I always used to say it, my mom will hear. And my mom used to, she wakes up at night to pray. She will start praying and mentioning your name as if you're a witch. You know, she will pray for change. I'm like, Mumsy, all this drama, are they really necessary? Said, yes, if you say you want to keep a grudge for your sister, till she will get married, then you start beating at you, I will pray for you, a witch. And surprisingly, when my sister finally got married, I was her chief bridesmaid. And when she was pregnant and she was sick, it was the same me that traveled to go take care of her. And I just don't know how I eventually stopped getting so angry. But I still tell her, I threaten her that I will still beat her children. Okay, well, are there long-term effects the parents should be worried about so that they can actually start arresting it now?
Yes, they are long. But let me quickly chip in something here. For those that spank you, they are the ones that love you. It's my 13th commandment. It takes someone that likes you or loves you to shout at you right when he or she thinks you're doing the wrong thing. So I think that your sister loves you so much. That's why she was like that, first of all. The second I want to chip in is that...
Don't allow your hair be big.
Second thing I want to chip in here is that parents should learn to write wills. There are long-term effects. I've seen siblings going to the extreme because of properties.
Yeah.
So if you have written your will, you may not let them know, though, but be fair in your sharing. So that when you have passed on, nobody knows when he or she is leaving, there will not be rancor. Your house will not be on fire on your exit. Now we must know that, no parents will be happy over there in heaven seeing his house burning. I think even if he's in heaven, he will not be happy. So you must ensure that every parameter needed to be objective is done, so that when you leave, or when you're no longer there, or when you're aging, your kids will not be at work. You know, when we do celebrations here in the Edo, especially Benin here, even from same siblings, you have 1 or 2, 3 musicians playing, as if they are struggling for something. And sometimes they don't even play set by set. This one will play, this one will play, this one will be doing the same. There's no cohesion, there's no unity. It's so much rivalry. And especially when you now have many wives, you now have many blocks. Now everybody's in competition. That should not be, it's not healthy. Create a forum where, you see, I want to always believe that if we're actually Christian and we believe in Adam and Eve being our forefathers or whatever, you're my sister. That's my concept. I don't believe tribe. I believe in presence. Even if religion, I don't believe in religion. I believe if you're a Muslim and I find that you have a good attitude towards things, I treat you in that manner. That you're my younger brother and you're doing the wrong thing, it doesn't mean I should cover you. I should find a way to put you in order. So we should have a mindset of promoting good values, loving people. I think one thing that is happening in our dispensation, and most of the kids we have, there's a discord between them and the parents. The parents are seen as old school, ancient, then the kids, they think they are new school. So find a way to love them. One thing I've come to realize, when a child realizes that you love him, in spite of his inadequacies, he will open up to you.
Word.
In the course of that, you can now chip in those things you want to chip in.
Sure. No matter how much you hit them, if they know you love them, they will understand. Okay, and on the final note, there are so many other issues that people sense that needed to be addressed. But so we're promising you a part 2, but it's not going to be anytime soon. But there'll be a part 2 of this topic. So the last one we're handling today is toxic in-laws. It's also leading to a lot of divorces and separation. We hear on radio every now and then, if your mother-in-law comes to your house, who should enter the front seats? There was even one that happened recently while she left her husband. They live in a one-room apartment with the kids. The kids sleep in the sitting room. They stay in their bedroom. They have just one big phone. The mother of the husband was coming to visit. And then the husband said they both should go join the kids in the sitting room so Mama can have the bed to herself. And she was like, no, this is my matrimonial bed. Your mother should sleep with the children in the sitting room, and that became a problem. They are currently divorced. He's remarried, shockingly. They tried to get into the matter, but it wasn't doable. And he's married another woman, and she's packed out of the house with her kids. So at what point should you begin to draw the line? At what point would you say your in-laws are toxic? There's a story that was on social media, and the guy was seeking opinions. He's in Canada with his wife. The wife did visitors' visas for her siblings without his knowledge, and they all came to his house. There were about 3 of them. They eat, they drop the plates in the sink. He provides, they just keep feeding. Their visitors, they can't work, and he wasn't happy with that. So he's currently moving his things back to Nigeria to relax for a while. Let the wife be taking care of the bills and all of that. Okay, so how can we actually deal with toxic in-laws? At what point will you say you are the one who is being too stiff and not being welcoming? As quickly as we can, because we don't have much time.
I think the major thing there is the couple. If there's understanding, the in-law matter can be well handled. It's when there is lack of understanding and people not understanding their roles. I say this not because I'm a man. the wife's duty is to submit. The man's duty is to love. If there is communication, I for one don't think the woman should confront her in-laws. Her husband's in-laws should be handled by the husband. Why the woman should handle her own in-laws? Things should not be done without both of them knowing, because they are the partners in this union. Every other person is a visitor. Like the one you just mentioned now. Ordinarily, there's nothing wrong in coming, but the man should be put in the know. It's disrespectful to bring your entire family over without putting the one that bears the brunt, you know, to know that this is coming. So he prepares if he can cope with what is coming. But dealing with in-laws, you must understand that this man grew up all his life with these people. You must also be accommodating. Why your husband should know, like what I do sometimes, my mother has accepted it. You don't intrude into my family matter. She knows she doesn't go there. She can talk to me as a son. But when it comes to my wife, he does not talk to my wife. Sister will come, are you sure about the wife? He says, not the wife. It's my son. I know him. He's my son. Because I ensure that I protect my wife. Even when she's wrong, I say if she's wrong, it's my problem to deal with. It's not yours. None of you have the right to correct her. I'm your elder brother. If whatever is her issue, tell me. If you go telling her, then you are looking for trouble. Have you heard us quarrel before? No. So stay your lane, I will stay mine. The same thing should happen with the wife. Do same with your in-laws. Yes. Let them know they are coming. My husband can't cope with these expenses. So I know what is work. I know what is earning. Why bring 3-4 persons to the house and put the man in a very tight corner? I think it's understanding. The husband and the wife should learn to communicate and ensure that they understand each other before they take any decision that would actually bring them either to live a peaceful life or a disjointed life. It's all about understanding. For me,
okay.
You should understand your spouse. I
think we're just going to have to end this discussion here. This toxic in-law thing, we have so many questions, so we're going to move it as well to part 2. I was still going to bring Mr. Kingsley if he has not jackpot by that time, because everybody is just running out of the country. We still have cases like co-parenting after separation, handling blended families, managing screen time and the use of technology in homes. Mommy's on the laptop, daddy's with his tab, the kids are pressing their own tabs, the television is on, nobody's talking, and all of that. How can we manage all of this? Now we're talking about getting more hustle to deal with the financial crisis. So if you're doing multiple jobs, how would you also have time for issues that relate to the home? So these and many more will shift into part 2. So just keep your dials locked. One day soon, someday very soon in nearest future, we'll bring it to you. Thank you, Mr. Kingsley. I'm so grateful.
Good to have you.
All right, and that's it on the show today. You can watch on YouTube if you missed out on any part. It's been very enlightening and educating. So try to catch up from any of the parts you missed out on. Next week is another edition, and I'm sure you would have fun being with us from 1:30. Bye for now.